I want to give a quick shout out to all my patrons. Thank you so much for all of the continued support. All right, so it is the last day of the month, and it is time for my October recap video. I'm going to be giving a little life update, talk about my channel updates, go over my channel and reading stats, recap of the books that I read, and normally I go over the books that I was sent this month. However, I just recorded this video, but I forgot to turn my sound on, so I'm re-recording it. I don't really have the energy to do that, so I'm going to roll that over to the next month, and I'll do a bunch of books at the end of next month. Starting things off, the Discord server continues to grow and thrive. It is now up to almost 2,000 people. It's at 1990. Please join. Get me over 2,000. I would love it. I've been waiting for that for the last week or two. Haven't quite been there. But yeah, please join. It's where the fun really is of this channel. It's where everything happens between me making videos. You get to watch the process of me making videos, talk about books, join buddy reads, just a lot of fun. And I'd love to chat with you on a more, live one-on-one basis. So join in the link below in the description. This month, like this last few months, has been really involved in me doing soccer coaching. So I coach my daughter's 8-year-old team, and then I help coach my son's 6-year-old team. Under 6, under 8. They're 7 and 5. But yeah, it was the last game was yesterday. We ended up undefeated this year, which is crazy. Every girl scored a goal this year, which is awesome. Just really fun. And I'm shocked that they've just keep increasing in quality. We're almost kind of like cheating because all the parents are friends with each other now, and none of them want their kids to leave for competitive. And so they're all doing rec when most of them should be in competitive. So we're just stomping other teams. I feel almost kind of bad, but not super bad. But yeah, my Tuesdays and Thursdays are now free. No more practice. And my Saturdays. But now I got suckered in. They all wanted to keep playing. So now I'm going to be coaching their indoor team in the winter. But it's only games every Sunday, no practice. So yeah, that'll be fun. A lot of my time outside of doing soccer has been spent working on homework with my kids, especially reading. I really, obviously, want my kids to be good readers. It's been really fun watching them kind of blossom and get into it and start reading more. My daughter getting into more kind of bigger, almost chapter-sized books now. And my son especially has been fun because he was a late talker, and I was really worried him going into kindergarten that he'd just be behind everybody and never learn how to read and just constantly playing catch-up. But he's just rocked it. I mean, he is, way above average in that class. He loves reading every night. He just can't wait to come home and go over what he calls his reading words, practice his little short stories. But he's just thriving, and it's so fun to see that passion start budding in him that I'm really trying to stoke. Then the past month, we did a Discord buddy read which is an online book club, of The Way of a Dan by 𝐵𝑝⁶. I'll talk about my thoughts on that book in a little bit, but it was a ton of fun. We read about 50 pages a day, have a daily discussion on the assigned chapters, a ton of people involved. This coming month, we're going to do another book, but I'll announce that on my video tomorrow. I don't even know what it is yet because I always put it up for a vote on my Discord. They get to pick what we're going to read. So another reason to come join the Discord. You can have some input in what book we're going to be doing on the buddy read, and then come join for the buddy read. It's a lot of fun. So this past month, I've been playing a few different video games, mostly 2 games, but just a lot of both of them. I played Cyberpunk 2077, not the new DLC, but the original base game. I'm always a couple years off games because I'm cheap, and I always buy them on sale on Steam or some other online platform because I play PC. But what I do is I just when a game comes out that I want to play, I'll say, a brand new game that costs $70, and I'll say, once it hits below $30, I'll buy it. And I put a little price point on this website, isthereanydeal.com, and then I get emails that randomly are oh, the game you wanted at this price is now available, which makes me be a year or two late on any of the big titles. So finally my turn to play this one, and I really liked it. A lot of fun. Didn't quite like it as much as The Witcher 3, which is by CD Projekt Red, the same developer. This one's more sci-fi, the other one's more fantasy. Obviously, I kind of like the fantasy one more. Then I also played It Takes Two. I'm still playing it. It's going to be a while to get through it, but I'm playing it with my daughter, and it's perfect because I love co-op games. It's an awesome couch co-op. You got to work together towards a common goal. Really fun stuff, and it's challenging my daughter. It's hard, but you can see her skills at video games just increasing, at a very strong level playing this game with me, and just tons of fun. So for the reading stats, I read 11 books this month, which was 4,800 pages, which is down 500 from the previous month. I'm now up to 95 books, and I'm on track for 112, so it should well surpass my goal of 100 that I always put on myself. I'm now at 48,000 pages and on track for 58,000, and so I'm well on track to get over 50,000, which is my pages goal. So yeah, excited about that. Yay me. My average score that I've given this year is now up to 3.73. That went up 0.06 this past month because I liked a lot of the books I read. My views this month was 119,000, which is up 19,000 from the previous month. My hours watched on my channel was 14,000, which is up 2,000. And my subs was 850, which is up 130. So I always talk about my top 3 videos I made this month. In terms of views, my number 1 video with 16,000 views was my interview with 𝗨𝐿. That is the author of The Wandering Inn. My number 2 video, 10,000 views, was my top 10 underrated series video. And my number 3, with 8,000 views, was my review of Secret Project number 4 by Brandon Sanderson. So speaking of books, let's jump right into my thoughts on all the books that I read, and I read a lot of them. So starting with The Last Argument of Kings. This is the 3rd and final book of the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. I predicted 5 out of 5, and I gave it a 5 out of 5. And that 5 out of 5 was not a bold prediction because I've already read this. This is my reread, and I obviously loved it. I loved it the first time. I liked it less this time than the first time, though. Mostly because when I read it the first time, I had this image of it that it was like so far better than the first 2 books in the series. That's not the case. I ultimately do think it's the best in the series, but the others are so good that it's all kind of interchangeable. Some of the things didn't hit for me the exact same way the first time, but I loved it. It's still one of my favorite books that I've ever read, just not quite to that level that I initially thought it was. And I'm really looking forward to continue on the series. It's really, I love First Law. I still think it's like my 3rd favorite series I've ever read, behind Dandelion Dynasty and Malazan. Hopefully that changes. Hopefully I read more stuff that I like more. But right now it's number 3, and I'm really excited to get back into the 3 standalone books, starting with Best Served Cold, because I didn't love them the first time I read this series, and I think I liked them but didn't love them. But now that I'm so invested in the series, I can't wait to read them again and give them another chance and see if that improves over time. Then I read Demon in White. This is The Sun Eater number 3 by Christopher Ruocchio. Predicted 5, gave it 5. This book rocks. This series rocks. This author rocks. I don't know why it's not more popular. It's this awesome science fiction fantasy series. Feels more science fiction than fantasy, but has a lot of fantasy elements to it. This 3rd book, though, was the best of the bunch, and I don't think anybody you would talk to that's read these would say differently. Everyone agrees that the 3rd book is the best. And it's made me a little worried about books 4 and 5 because everybody says there's a struggle on those. Mostly because books 4 and 5 were supposed to be like one enormous book, and the publisher split it in half and said it's too long, make them 2 books. And it suffered because of that. So I kind of almost want to read the 4th and 5th book back to back. I don't know that I will. I kind of really like spacing out my books, makes me not get any burnout. And I think on my channel, people want to see me talking about different stuff. They don't want to see me talk about the exact same books every month from the same series. So I don't know if I will. I should, but we'll see. Then I read The Sunlit Man. This is Secret Project number 4 by Brandon Sanderson. I predicted a 4 out of 5, and I gave it a 5 out of 5. And I think it's my favorite of the Secret Projects. I think very few people would tell you that. I think most people would say that Tress of the Emerald Sea, Secret Project number 1, is their favorite. I think a lot of people would tell you that Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which is Secret Project number 3, is their favorite. And I think most people will tell you that Sunlit Man is their 3rd favorite. And everyone would tell you that The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England is their least favorite. I just love this. Everything worked for me in this. The characters were awesome. I love the main character. He's a character that I know and love from Stormlight Archive. I love the world. It was just so ingenious. The plot was hard pace, so fast. And I love that. I mean, Sanderson usually slows down in his books to kind of bring you in. He hit the pedal to the metal and didn't let up. I loved it. It was awesome. Kudos to you, Brandon. Bring me more stuff like that. Then I read my first non-5 out of 5, which was The 𝐒𝐿𝐥, part of the new series called The 𝐒𝐿𥥥 by Josiah Bancroft, the author of the Books of Babel. I predicted 4 out of 5, gave it 3 out of 5, and it gets my award for the worst surprise of the month. And it just didn't work perfectly for me. I just thought it was okay. I was really excited to read it because while I liked the Books of Babel, I disliked the direction the plot went. I always thought Bancroft was a good writer. I just didn't love the way his plots went. So I was like, okay, new series, let's get a new plot, let's see what we got. The writing was awesome, like always. The plot suffered. It's about this husband and wife, like mystery-solving magician team. Cool concept. I don't think I've ever read a book where a husband and wife are the main characters in this regard. Cool stuff. I mean, I have a wife. I love her. I would love to go on magical adventures with her if I could. And so reading that was fun. But that's kind of where it ended. It just kind of was dull to me, and I won't continue on with the series. Then I finished up the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook. This is Dungeon Crawler number 3 by Matt Dinniman, and I predicted 4, like I gave the previous book, and I gave it 5. Back to the 5 out of 5s. It just rocks. It fixed all my problems from the second book. The pacing was awesome. The plot was great. We hit those awesome moments again, the shocking moments, one that just I'll never forget. It just was great in every way, and I want more people to read this awesome lit RPG where the characters are leveling up. He's trying to navigate his way through this dungeon on Earth to save the world, and yeah, it's awesome. And it hasn't gotten too overpowered. Things are leveling up. We're on the same pace as him, so it's fun. A lot of these series, the character just becomes too powerful. It's not going to happen here. It solved my major problem with these lit RPGs and these progression fantasies, and yeah, just great stuff. Then I read The Darkness That Comes Before. This is the Prince of Nothing series by R. Scott Baker. I predicted 5 out of 5. I gave it a 5 out of 5. Big surprise there. And it gets my best book of the month, which is a big award because I feel like a lot of books I read this month could have been the best book and one of my favorite books that I've ever read. This one is top tier. It gives me those Malazan feelings that I feel like I want so badly of another series. The world is just, it's got this amazing dark, grimdark feel to it. Maybe the most grimdark book that I've ever read. Not because it's like gory, maybe that happens later, but it's just like this bleak setting that I eaten up. The world building here, the amount of depth that's gone into it, it's just magical, and I love everything about it. Tons of different point of view characters. Can't wait to see where this holy war goes when it pops off, and yeah, awesome stuff. Then I read The Way of Adan, which I talked about earlier as my buddy read. This is part of the Adan trilogy by Philip Chase, fellow booktuber. Predicted a 3 out of 5, gave it a 4 out of 5. Pleasant surprise there. I thought it was going to be something it wasn't. I thought it was going to be this Lord of the Rings kind of clone in the way that it was written, but it wasn't. It wasn't, overly purple prose. It was this nice mix between accessible but well done classic fantasy story. I've read a bunch of classic fantasy stories. This is a good one, and it made me intrigued enough to say that I'll probably end up going on and reading more in the series, especially when I finish up my review. Everybody tells me that the first one's the worst of the bunch. That's what I want to hear. So yeah, excited. Then was The Dark Forest. This is The Remembrance of Earth's Past, number 2 by Cixin Liu. Most people think of this series, though, as the 3-Body Problem series. I predicted 4 out of 5. I gave the first book a 3.5. This one a 5, and gets my best surprise of the month. It just rocks. It's so good. The concepts in this are just mind-blowing. I'll never forget them. It's totally changed the way that I think about outer space and aliens. The book, it's the scariest book I've ever read. Not because of jump scares or something, or people dying, but because it just terrifies me about aliens, and it's made me change the way that I think about them in this really horrific way. I kind of wish I didn't read it from that regard, because I've definitely had some nights where have this kind of dread about the world and what that means. And then I made the mistake of going on a date with my wife last night and bringing up this book, and she's like, "Why did you tell me this? Now I'm terrified." So yeah, if you want to get terrified about something, check this one out. Then was The Shadow of the Torturer. This is the first book in the Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. I predicted a 3, and I gave it a 2.5. And this book just went over my head. It's so hard to read. This is a book where you have to slow down and take notes and reread and think about who's lying to you and what's really happening, and is what you're reading actually happening? And that's hard. I bet the payoff's awesome. I bet it's a fun book to study. I just don't have the time and energy to do that anymore. I got this booktube channel. I don't think anybody wants me to spend a whole month reading and rereading and going over one book, and I don't really want to do that. If I was into that, I bet I would get a lot out of it and have a good time. It's just not where I'm at right now, but if you are, check that one out. Then I read The Exile. This is the second to last book I read of this month, so almost done with this video that I've now re-recorded. And this is, the second short story collection, the second novella in The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill. I predicted 4 out of 5, which I almost always give to novellas. Usually 4 out of 5 was the peak score, but this one was 5 out of 5, and the best novella I've ever read. Now, in the second book in the series of Darkness and Light, it introduces this character. I think it was introduced in that one. And I just fell in love with this character. And then I get this novella that's all about that character and their backstory. You get to go through these major events of their life. It's great pacing. I love everything about it. It's the way the novellas should be done. And then the final book that I read this month was Legends and Lattes. Bookshops and Bone Dust, the prequel story to Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I predicted 4 out of 5. I gave it a 2 out of 5, and it gets my award for the worst book of the month. You know, it's not horrible, and maybe I would have liked this more if I read it and I didn't read Legends and Lattes, but it just felt like it was Legends and Lattes, but worse in every regard. You know, it was this cozy fantasy that just makes you feel happy, and I did have those feelings, but I just didn't enjoy my reading experience very much. Just felt like kind of copy and pasted with a few differences, but everything just not as good. So that's it for me. Tomorrow, stay tuned because I'm going to be releasing my to be read video, all the books that I'm going to be reading in the month of November. Don't miss it. I'm going to be going over who won the TBR contest from October, and then open up the contest for you to join to see if you can win. And if you win twice, then you get to pick any book for me to read and review. And one of the books that I'm going to be reading in November is somebody who's won twice. So many people have won now that we're getting kind of repeat people that have won twice now, pretty much every month now. So exciting stuff. Can't wait to read that book. Can't wait to talk to you about those books. Stay tuned for that. And as always, happy reading to you. Thanks again to all my patrons, with a special shout out to my Ascendant tier and Librarian tier patrons: Anna G, CJ, Doust, Darren, Gregory, Jonathan, Nathan T, Nev's Book Channel, 𝗏𝗏𝐿, Ron Reich, Russell, Ryan L, Sydney Baker, Tahir, Anna, Andra, Blair, Brock, Evan, Fanixan, Harry B, Joe, Kat Mick, Maria, Michael Sugarman, Sky, TW57, Wacky, and Zion. Thanks for sticking to the end of this video, and if you want to watch some more content from my channel, click over here and I've got some good videos for you. Thanks so much.